Welcome,
Hello,
everybody.
hello.
We're here on the third episode of the PPP show. That's right. We are on the third leg. So we're no longer hopping. We're crawling now. No, excuse me. You're not. What is it? You run. You crawl. No. You walk. You
You
run.
crawl, you crawl, you walk,
You crawl.
you
You
run.
walk. You run. There you go, man. I couldn't get that. I couldn't get it straight. I was thinking about a chicken because chickens walk with two, but then when you turn into a dragon, you get four, and then when you turn into a salamander, you get back to one. That's the but man, I couldn't even get it back to human terms. But yes, you got to crawl, and then you walk, and then you run. So right now we passed the crawling. We're on the walking stage. So this topic that we have, the question that we have today, is is a very interesting one because we are living in a time where we are seeing so much transition happening. We're seeing technologies evolve in ways that we couldn't even imagine. I mean, 40 years ago, the things that were existed back then compared to what we have now, I mean, it's geometrically different. So the topic for today was the question was a business owner. The question owner was a taxi driver, and he said, "Hey, Uber and Lyft pretty much took me out. And the biggest thing that I'm facing now is that when I'm trying to find a new business to go into, AI, artificial intelligence, I'm afraid that that's going to take me out because I'm looking at trailers and now trucks are driving themselves and cars are driving themselves." And I thought to myself, well, what a fascinating question, first of all. And the second thing was, let's do some research. First of all, I found that Oracle is one of the leaders in artificial intelligence when it comes to businesses. They have this incredible AI, and I saw a video of what it can do. You can ask it a question like, "What is the top sales performer? What does he do, or what does she do? Like, where is she in the category, and how many of them are there in our industry?" And this computer, dude, and this computer will do everything like a little modem, and it'll pop out the answer. It will actually give you an answer, just like Alexa. Like if you tell Alexa, "Hey Alexa, where's my high school at?" It'll pop it up and it'll give you the information. This AI, this high intelligence AI, can do that in a much deeper way. So for businesses, what it means is that you're going to be seeing a lot of displacement, a lot of resourcefulness, a lot of resources being moved over and shift over to digital. Now, Will, you and I have been looking for AI, especially for marketing and branding. One specifically is AI that can write copy for itself. It can actually you can put in parameters, you can put in words, you can actually ask it questions, find topics for it, and it'll generate headlines, it'll generate paragraphs, it'll generate copy for you. So what do you think, Will? This person he's scared. He doesn't understand what's going on in the AI space right now. I mean, a lot. It used to be naysay. You remember that? It used to be all like, that's not true. That's all sci-fi stuff." Until, oh, you guys lost your power. I saw it. It's the
Uh,
AI. It's listening. That's
Everybody's listening, man.
it knows. Oh my goodness. Talk about divine intervention. Well, whoever you are, whatever entity you are, I hope you help us out because that was like an invitation for that was an invitation.
I'll tell you, when you're talking and I hear this. I even think about it myself sometimes, but I think it goes back to again, and I don't want to go back to the basics, but at the heart of it, that's really what this is. It goes back to your mindset, having a scarcity or an abundance mindset. And so if you really sit down and think about it, no matter what industry you're in, really there's disruption. It's moving forward. Technology is moving at such a
Yes.
fast rate that no matter what you're doing, I could technically sit here and get hung up on the fact that this computer, this laptop that I'm on is something, for my business in a negative way. So, but what you got to do is you got to learn to train yourself, especially as an entrepreneur, a startup, whatever. You got to have a really strong mindset. And I think it's more important nowadays than ever with social media because social media is really kind of it post everybody posts their highlights. It don't really show the struggles. It just shows the wins. And so it's really easy to get caught into this, oh well, I'm not doing something right, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But so going back to the question, but he needs to get a abundance mindset and realize that I don't care what AI does. I don't care what it does. It's never 100% going to replace a human being, and it will never
Yes, that's right.
replace a true conversation. And so how I'm implementing this into my business is, right now there's, with us trying to get real estate leads and trying to find these, business motivated business sellers and stuff like that we're doing. There's dollars out there, there's VAs, there's people that can make I know people that are literally doing 40,000 cold calls a month through these different avenues. But at the end of the day, why are we making, a hell of a lot less phone calls, but our closing rate is so good, or our acquisition rate in this case, because we don't really consider a close, it's more of a acquisition where we're taking it in. I think there's automatic lights in here. I'm going to start wiggling around.
You gotta do a little scarecrow pose every once in a while.
But what we're doing is we're actually calling and having conversations with these people more so than, hey, is your auto insurance is, we've all got those, the
robocaller. Hey, is your warranty expired?
It's time to renew your auto warranty. Well, nobody wants those, right? But what we do, when I call somebody and I say, hey, this is Will with the Blue Aura Group, and we're calling to see what kind of, how you're investing right now. How can we help you get better? How can we do this? And we're establishing a conversation. I mean, I literally have a list of 51 people I need to call, and I made it through 2 yesterday. Was it day 4 yesterday? Because the first one lasted 30 minutes and the second call lasted 40 minutes. So what I'm getting at is that I don't care what they're going into. So he said he was looking at maybe going into.
Well, he was a taxi. Well, he was a taxi owner, and then he got interrupted by Uber and Lyft.
Yeah, which he shouldn't have gotten interrupted. I don't think. I mean, he should. You have 2 options. You can either innovate or you can join. And he should have either. And this is always easier said than done. So I'm not.
I mean, that's his next point. He says that now I'm trying to move into a new venture, but I'm scared that the AI will mess it up in the future because I see that trucks are driving themselves and cars are like Tesla. He's talking about Tesla.
I know, but again, the answer's in there. The answer's in the question. So he's already been through it. He's seen how it been disrupted. He sees that, he knows what's coming. He's almost predictive now at this time, proactive, and he needs to take a proactive approach and say, okay, well, rather than me just jumping into trucks and complaining about Tesla taking them over, how can I jump into trucks and either A, support it, or B, innovate it? How can I go in and do something that supports them taking over? Like if they're taking over, then what do they need? Look at the full process of trucks. Trucking's not just getting in a truck and driving. That's a very narrow, focused, blinder type of view. You need to look at the industry. If he's really going to innovate and really change industries, look at the full logistical industry and say, okay, where do I fit in? And I'll give you an example right now where I would go if I was in his shoes. Is I wouldn't necessarily be looking so much at trucking as I would be looking at the trucking industry and how blockchain is literally disrupting that, and how easy it is to get in on those blockchain type of ventures. You're not going to compete against Tesla. You're not going to create the next Tesla. But what you can do is you can get in there and make complementary services. You can get in there and make, and the time frame is too. I don't know how old this cat is, but say they're 42. In their lifetime, they will not see fully automated 100% self-driving trucks. I just don't see it. We're too far away. You know what I'm saying? Even if there was fully automated, like Tesla has fully automated vehicles.
You think so? You think we won't see it in the next 5 years? Man,
No,
I've seen vans drive people to Walmart by themselves now.
I mean, you have too
5
many.
years ago, you didn't see that.
You have too many cars that are. You may have some that can go on a route. You know what I'm saying? But taking a truck and putting 50,000 pounds of product behind it and putting it on a route and it being able to, there's too many vehicles without this technology. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. We're heading that direction. I don't think that the full truck industry is going to be 100% automated in the next 20 years. I don't see it.
No, like 100%. I don't think so. Like everything done, I don't think it's going to be 100.
And even if there was, I sorry to interrupt, but even if there was, another way to lean into it is market yourself. Go back to marketing. It's all marketing, branding. Market and brand yourself as the human truck driver. You know what I'm saying? Like if everything's going automated, there's going to be a portion of people that are willing to pay a premium to be able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Jim, where you at?" You know what I'm
That's
saying? Like
right.
there,
Yeah.
and so
A human.
so
They
again,
want a human.
but you need to be able to get outside your bubble, get outside of that limited mindset and say, okay, well, maybe somebody will pay a premium for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, there's truck drivers dime a dozen, but what could I do right now? Like if I wanted to become a truck driver or start a truck driving service, I would start something that would maybe, okay, maybe we give mileage updates. You know, we create an app. We're truck drivers. We have our own app and you're updated every freaking quarter mile or mile marker that your load's at, so you can be down to the minute of when the deliveries are going to be here. When we're here, we're going to show up with shine shoes and we're going to deliver donuts. Like there's things that you can do, you know, to distinguish yourself, and and people will pay a premium for that. I mean,
I agree. I agree with I agree with your principle that people will pay a premium for good service. The
yeah.
impact. You know who John Taffer is? The gentleman from Bar Rescue. Well, it's not
Oh
just
yeah.
Bar Rescue. He actually, fun fact for all of you guys listening, for you as well, Will. Who started the NFL Sunday Ticket? Do you know?
Madden.
Well, not mad at the person who brought the
Ron
idea.
Madden.
The person who brought the idea was John Taffer. He actually made this Sunday Ticket. I thought it was pretty interesting. Well, he ran branding agencies, he ran marketing agencies, restaurants, clubs, and then eventually to the show. And the thing that he said that he has found throughout every business is that you need to be able to, number one, focus on the reaction and focus on the impact that you're leaving. And I thought that was very interesting. That's very different because he said revenues will come as soon as you market, or excuse me, as soon as you get your impact and your reactions correct. And I thought that was very interesting. So, for example, for this gentleman with a taxi driver service, well, the big thing that he's worried about is he doesn't know which direction to lean into. You gave him a great direction which to lean into, get premium service. The other one is you can also just buy cars and then the same thing, whoever is dominating that service, just like Uber. I believe Uber and Lyft have a service where if you don't have a car, you can get a car from them, right? You can
Oh
drive.
really? I don't know. Do they?
Yes, if I'm correct, we can look at it right now. If you don't have your own vehicle, you can apply to get a vehicle from them. They provide you the vehicle, and you
Really?
drive, and your payments, a portion of them go off to the actual service, paying off for
That's
that
cool.
vehicle or for the rent of that vehicle.
They do that for Lambos too, and
Lambos and Bugattis, baby. So with that being said, what I'm trying to say is if Tesla, for example, is this huge disruptor like he's claiming, and I'm seeing it, his stocks went crazy. I've seen the cars, like I was telling you, the routes, like you were saying, if they have routes, they can drive it. I've seen people get in a van and then they'll get in a van with no driver, and that van will drive them, take a left, take a right, cut left, cut right. I mean, everything a person will do. And they even put on the blinkers like you're supposed to. It's incredible. And it's starting up right now with just these things. Google has the exact same thing with their Google Campus car. It takes you all over the campus and their self-driving car. Tesla said, hey, you can buy the Tesla or you can lease the Tesla. It can literally drive itself and taxi itself as you are not using it. It will pay itself off. And then after you pay itself off, all the profit after that is all yours. And I thought about that. Well, what if you have a fleet of Teslas? Huh? What if you get from 1 to 10, 10 to 30? Now all of a sudden you go 30 to 100. Now you have 100 Teslas. They all drive themselves. They're all self-driving taxi services. And they literally call on command because they're integrated with Uber and Lyft. You see, you're aligning with the technology. You're aligning with the direction of attention. You're aligning yourself with the flow of consumer mindset. Because a consumer right now is not thinking, hey, let me pull out my phone, let me Google taxi, let me find out of the 12 taxis who I should call, have a conversation with them, give them my location, and then have them send somebody over to me in 30 minutes. I want to just be able to pull out my phone, click, hey, here I am. Oh, look, I see a little car coming my way. And you can see them in real time as they drive towards you. You can be that kind of person. That's the direction of business. And it's going to be in other industries as well. It's not just that, medicine as well. I mean, a lot
yeah,
of these,
big,
what,
yeah.
what is it called when they scan your brain with the brain? MRI scans. Is that
Mhm.
it? The gray scale, right? When they find tumors, the eye can only see so many shades of gray. Well, these AI machines are now being able to detect every single speck and every
Right.
single grain and any kind of slight differential of the matter can now perform better images. And it can tell you, hey, this little lesion right here is actually existent, and you thought it was just a smudge. It actually is something. So imagine all of the differences that's going to happen in that field and all the fields with it. So back to you, Will, because I went on a rant with
No,
the taxi
absolutely.
driver. I believe we answered a good question because
Well, I'll tell you something else come to mind when you were talking there, just real quick. Another thing, it goes back to like we were saying, you can either got a line, which I call it lean into, or a line with what's happening, the disruption, or you're going to have to innovate in your own way. I mean, that's
or
the only way.
innovate, yes,
That's
or
the
he's
only
gonna have
way.
to do something else that breaks it
But
all
but
out.
I'll tell you, I mean, on a lot of reasons, it's a lot of times it is better just to lean into it. But you got to think outside the box. So like, and this, some people have true entrepreneur minds and they can just see the shit or whatever. I mean, like me when you were talking right there and you're talking about having a Tesla delivery or even Uber right now, like where's the add-on services? You know what I'm saying? Like
Tesla Grubhub.
where exactly like where is the, hey, I want an Uber to pick me up in 30 minutes and bring me a Whopper? You know what I'm saying? Like where are
As I'm
the,
driving, like
well, I'm just saying, like, it may not even be invented yet, but that's where the true profit is. Like, where's the add-ons? The upsells. Like, I'm getting an Uber, it's coming to me. Well, now I need somebody to be in there that's going to shine my shoes while I'm on the way to my meeting. Or I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking like there's ways to add on to the disruption, and it really,
resistance always creates innovation.
yeah,
Right now,
yeah,
we had a resistance with, or I don't want to say resistance, like when you have a real shift and the
a
way you do.
disruption. I mean, a true
Oh
disruption, like
yeah,
what.
this there you go. Disruption equals innovation, really, because when the coronavirus happened, I mean, look at the shift. People had to start doing everything differently. Oh my goodness. I mean, the
Real
level of
estate's going crazy.
resources that had to be committed from office spaces back to home spaces, from paper to digital. I mean, I can go into a lot deep into it, but we'll back to Will, what he was saying. If you're gonna, how did you label it? I like that way you said it. Say it again. It's not about leaning into it. No,
You
that's
got
right.
to
That's how you said it.
lean in or
Leaning into
innovate.
it. Well, right now, I don't want to go with a taxi service because that's very narrow. Let's go with another one, Will. What would you say? What would you say right now in real estate is a big disruptor, because you're big in the real estate game, and a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are going to be in
I'll,
the.
I'll tell you something that on a micro and a macro scale, on a micro scale, I really, really think that these wholesalers are becoming mainstream to the extent to where they are really getting deals. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the fact that there's so much getting the deals. Here's what it is. The past 10 years, we've been brought up in like this cushiony, like don't call nobody, send them emails, no, don't bother nobody, blah blah blah. And it's produced a bunch of pansies. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to pick up the phone and call somebody and make those cold calls. But at the end of the day, cold calls is what freaking moves the needle. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody hardly answers emails from anybody they don't know anymore. Text messages do really well. But outside of that, Facebook marketing's gotten, it's gotten null, I guess is a way to say it. All these other avenues are very competitive. It's a very crowded market space. So I don't know. I see that these wholesalers are not, they're not fancy in terms of, oh, I'm too good to make a phone call. You know what I mean? Like they're like, dude, I'll call 1,000 people a day if it means I'm making 10 grand a day. And they do it and they get it done and they get the deals. You know what I'm saying? And they're moving the needle. Whereas a lot of people in real estate are too fancy. They put on a pretty suit and drive a fancy car that's deaded, and dead up their eyeballs. And they go to an office and they sit there and they think, oh, well, I'm an agent or I'm this or I'm that. I'm going to get listings. Well, sorry, sweetheart. It ain't about you. It's about the homeowner or the property owner. And then on a macro scale, what I'm seeing, because I have the private equity fund and I've got another firm that we just launched in the past year that's doing more private equity and opportunistic real estate. And so there's things changing. These SPACs, I don't know if you've heard of a SPAC, an SPAC, Special Purpose
SPAC.
Acquisition Company. There's innovative, and it's been around for a long time. The original term was a blank check company. Been around since probably
I understand. Yeah, an acquisition company that just buys businesses or property or.
Well, basically, it's a reverse IPO is what it is. So traditionally, an IPO is an initial public offering, is a business or a corporation, not a business, corporation that starts usually small, usually over multiple generations, or at least in one lifetime, it's financially grow to the point to where it becomes this pretty good sized corporation, and then they go public to start selling public shares, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that takes a long time. There's a lot of bookkeeping, a lot of history, a lot of research that the SEC's got to do to get through all that in order to be able to offer that on the public, on the public sector, the NASDAQ or something. And what a SPAC is basically a startup, and they say, hey, we're starting up, we have zero revenue, but we're going public today. And so it's very quick, it's very easy. As far as the review, not going to say easy, but you still got to go through brokers and investment banks and stuff like that to custodian.
Not as intense as bigger.
Right. And so basically what happens is they go public with zero revenue, zero everything, with the concept of selling shares, raising capital, and then they go out and they either merge or buy a company that, because right now it's easier. This is the reason why we're doing M&A, reason why I'm buying small businesses in health, tech, manufacturing, cyber. The reason why I'm doing that is because it's cheaper and easier to buy revenue than it is to build it. Does that make sense? So like I've got a couple companies right now
buying a business that's already been established and just fixing the systems in order to make.
You don't even have to fix it, man. A lot of this stuff is just a lot of it just comes down to advertising or putting in a sales guy. I mean, I've got to make
optimizing the business.
Yeah, and so I've got and honestly, they're profitable. Like I'm not buying shit companies. Like these are profitable businesses. That the sellers are, they're retirement age. They're looking to retire. Typically their kids are off into their own careers, doing their own thing. They're attorneys, lawyers, whatever. They're not interested in running a business.
They don't care about the business.
They don't care about it, and meanwhile these people have spent 20, 30 years building this thing up. And I mean, I've got one right now that we're underwriting that, I mean, this thing produces, I mean, the net revenue on it's $613,000 a year, and I can pick it up for about 2.5 million. So, that is roughly, what is that? Roughly 4 times earnings, roughly that'd be 2.4. So roughly 4 times earning on
do math stuff, Will,
on multiples. So yeah, it's 4 times earning. But how long would it take to build a company to $3 million in revenue, 3 million plus a year in revenue, and have a net income of $613,000 a year? It would take years to build that up in a traditional sense. And it's in manufacturing too. So, I mean, this is like a steady, contractual type of deal. It's just chucking away. They have they do no marketing. They have no sales team, nothing. I mean, and it's all machined like stuff. I mean, and they can make any damn thing you want them to. So, I mean, there's numerous ways to explode this company. This company could literally be, they're doing like 3.3 million right now in gross revenue, and this company could easily be 10 times that in a year or two with just proper marketing and sales, team put in. So,
and what you said a lot, and I'm going to try something.
Well, I take it back to macro. Macro, I think. I think what I can see, and we said real estate specific, but I think just in general business, people need to get back to the basics. You know what I'm saying? The basics meaning
of here. Let's list them out.
Basics of marketing, basics of selling. Picking up the phone, doing. Think about your marketing as in even like when we're doing, social marketing or something like that, I think I've done better lately with literally just messages, like me filming myself right now talking about what I'm doing, how my offer is, da 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 da, instead of this big production, whatever. Let's get back to the basics.
Oh, I understand. Instead of all
And,
the fanciness, all of the craziness, all of the graphics and what is it called? The digital style that everybody's using for the
oh
intro,
yeah, all
the tear, the
I forget what they're
the
called, but
glitch.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what it's called, the glitch.
oh yeah, the good. Hey, this
Yeah.
is so and so, and so I think people are just looking for authenticity. Would be the word that.
Straight and narrow, straight to the point.
Yeah, and I'm talking about on a micro scale. So I'm talking about like your realtors, your
Yes.
local markets, your local businesses. When you get bigger, nationwide, whatever, regional, it's different. I'm talking about your local on a micro scale. On a macro scale, large scale, let's talk about large real estate, large transactions, stuff like that. There's disruption. I mean, take stock market, with what's going on with GameStop and all this stuff. I mean, there's disruption. There's playing around. The market took a dip. Everybody seems to be going back into bonds. I believe it is, which is natural and it's good for the economy. But there's it's just a little change right now on a macro scale that I don't know how many people it's going to help, but yeah. So I think
Well, I'm gonna
you got me
direct your attention
you got me thinking.
because you were going there, and I just felt to do this. Look, I saw you go with the note, and it fell off the corner. Here, I'm gonna push it back up here because you were going somewhere with it, and I want to lead into the next part of the actual video, which will be the last part of the segment. So you were saying that the disruption right now in big scale real estate is that you're seeing a lot of different companies. But primarily, would you say is it like are you talking about the local or like Blackstone kind of
Yeah,
company?
well, I don't know. I'm not anybody to comment on the size of Blackstone, but big enough to be transacting across state borders and stuff like that.
Okay,
There's a lot of
so
money, a lot of private equity shops that are. Here's the thing: is that there's volatility in the market. Stock market's done really well. A lot of capital seems to be looking for a place to park. And so they're willing to take less returns for safe parking of their capital. So it's driving the prices up of a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like multifamilies through the roof. And so
because of
again,
the current climate, because of the way what's going on, the
yeah,
election, what just happened with Joe Biden, what's going on.
volatility. And so the stock market's done really well. They made a lot of money in the stock market. They're diversifying out. I mean, multifamily is a hedge against inflation. You got the economy, or the government dumping all this money into the economy with these stimulus checks and everything, which is, it hadn't really registered yet. But I mean, at some point, it's got to start, causing an inflation repercussion.
Boom. Okay, you just said the magic words. With that, who made one of the best studies that I found so far? Oracle. And I'm not surprised. We're going to share the screen. Man, I'm telling you, I did a deep dive with AI and I was looking at what Oracle is doing, and I'm flabbergasted with what's happening.
Well, and I'll tell you, and that's the same, like even in the financial, capital markets world that I'm in, or halfway in, whatever. Make it real quick. A lot of these hedge funds and different quant funds and different things, they're not people. They're computer programs. Like I know somebody right now that they literally have it's an algorithm is what it is. Different than an algorithm on a web, social media, this, that, whatever.
It's a robot. Let's call it
It's a
what it is.
robot. It's AI is what it is. And so this AI is actually driving investment decisions and stuff and when it's on a graph like that and it's been charted for years to in the past millennia, whatever, however long the stock market's been around, it's been charted and it's graphed. You cannot compete with a computer. So this goes back to the beginning of it, like we're talking about AI disruption. I mean, it's the reason why I don't play in the stock market, because you can't win when it comes to stock market. Not when you got a hedge fund. Like I know people out there. I mean, I know, I ain't gonna say no names, but I know specifically a guy that has a hedge fund, and the hedge fund is run by an algorithm, and these guys make stupid money.
What is it called? Micro trading? Or frequency trading, high frequency trading. That's what it is,
Oh,
right?
I mean, it's.
Where it just
I mean, you can't
it
compete with
does massive
yeah,
amounts of transactions in milliseconds of times,
and they
bite
do
size.
futures, they do commodities,
You
they
can't even
do
you can't even sneeze fast
no,
enough to cover
no.
everything that they're
And
doing.
you can't compete. It is the future of stock trading and stuff. And so that's the reason why I stay in real assets. An algorithm's not going to tell me that this
You
building
can
over here,
touch real estate, you can lick it, you can touch it,
you
you
can
can
piss
kiss
on
it,
it. That's
you
what I
can
like to
kick it
say.
when you're mad.
If I can't piss on it, I don't buy it.
So with that being a physical tangible asset, we're going to look at the digital asset. And the thing I'm going to bring up right now, for those of you who are not actually watching this on a video stream, you're actually listening to you on podcast or any kind of MP3 format, we are going to be showing you, where is it? There it is. So this is can you see the screen, Will?
Yep.
This is the Oracle plus Avanza Money and Machines 2021 Global Study. Okay, it's a 17-page study guide, or really what it is a study guide, because you got to research and you got to see what they do. However, we're going to go right through it and go to the juicy points. Okay, so we're going to go through the forward, we're going to go through the introduction, straight to the numbers. Okay, so look at this. Key number summary. This is page 4. My dog, I'm sorry, dude. He's panting like he just ran a mile. So
He just stand up.
you just looking at me so funny. Okay, so key number summary, page 4. The pandemic has drastically increased financial anxiety and sadness and has changed our relationship with money. See, they need a copywriter. We got to get in there. Causing us to turn to robots for help. See, there it is. Causing us to turn to robots for help. As finance becomes increasingly automated, the role of finance professionals has changed. So here's some numbers. The impact of COVID-19 on consumers and professionals has been considerable. 103% is financial anxiety and sadness among consumers and business leaders, more than doubled in 2020. Think about that. More than doubled from 2020. An uptick of 103%. The second point, the trust in humans has been broken. Robots are filling the gap. Will, you were just talking about that. You were literally just talking about that. 67% of people would trust robots more than humans to manage their finance. Will, do you believe that's true?
It goes back to just like this GameStop. I mean, let's look at current events. This GameStop stuff that's going on. They're on trial or whatever you call it. They're in meeting at the Supreme Court and stuff because they are being accused of manipulating the markets, not a robot, a human being. And they did it because A, either greed, or B, to cover their own ass. That's two reasons why a lot of people do stuff, is they're greedy or they're trying to cover their own ass. And so they're they may be caught with their pants down here. And unfortunately, like you said, that's a human doing that. If that was a robot, they wouldn't. I mean, they can be programmed to do that, but it goes back to the malicious of the programmer
who wrote it.
Yep.
59%, and back to this one, and 59% of people now say they would trust a robot with finances more than themselves. So they're literally giving it to the hands of robots. They don't even trust themselves with it. They're like, here, take it. Isn't that phenomenal? Isn't that incredible to look at that?
I believe it, man. I mean, it's
No, it is mind-boggling. Number 3, and by the way, this is by Oracle. All right, Oracle, not one of the biggest companies in the world. Number 3, the role of finance teams and financial advisors will never be the same. 85% of people believe robots will replace finance professionals. Replace, not be helping you out, not be holding your hand like a calculator. No, a robot walking into your desk or walking into your house and kicking you out and saying, I'm taking a job now. I'm doing this. Man, that's wild, isn't it? 85% of people believe that. Now, and 46% of people believe robots will replace financial professionals in the next 5 years. So now it's close. Not in utopian future in 2140, and next 5 years, which would be 2026. Number 4, it's time to embrace AI to manage finance. 87% of business leaders believe that organizations that don't rethink finance processes will face risk, including, number 1, falling behind competitors. 44% believe that. Inaccurate reporting, 36%. More stressed workers, 36%. and reduced employee productivity, 35%. I mean, 35% of reduced employee activity or productivity, that's a death blow to some businesses. You won't be able to survive that. I mean, if you're going end to end, I mean, even big businesses that make a lot of revenue, I mean, if they can barely support the expense output, Jesus. And look, let's go to the next one. Now, I thought this was pretty interesting. The survey methodology. This was where they actually did the survey response. All right. Research findings are based on a survey conducted by Savanta Incorporated between November 10th and December 8th, 2020, with 9,001 global respondents from 14 countries: the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, the Netherlands, France, China, India, Australia, Brazil, Japan, United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia. The survey explored attitudes and behaviors of consumers and business leaders towards money, finances, budgets, and their role and expectations of artificial intelligence and robots in financial tasks and management. So this is not just happening in your back door or in your backyard. This is going all over the world. This is happening globally. And this is what they found. So check this out. Oh, this is they're showing you who's going to that. There it is. So this bulletin point or this statistic is the thing that I thought was most interesting. This is page 7 of the Money and Machines 2021 Global Study Report by Oracle. The effects of COVID-19. And with this, we'll talk about this and we'll wrap it up. The effects of COVID-19, financial anxiety, sadness, and fear. That's how they started. The impact of COVID-19 on consumers and professionals has been considerable. The unexpected and devastating spread of the COVID-19 pandemic across the globe has shaken people's outlook on life. One area that has been especially impacted is our relationship with money, both personally and professionally. Simply put, in 2020, the levels of financial anxiety and depression doubled. I'm going to read that again. Simply put, in 2020, the levels of financial anxiety and depression have doubled. Okay, so right there, Will, as a business owner, what's the first thing that pops to your head when you hear that? As a business owner in your industry, when the levels of financial anxiety and depression of people have doubled in the past year?
People's worried about their money. That's what I think, and their liquidity, and people are, yeah.
And that causes a lot of contraction. When I hear people are scared, I hear a lot of contraction.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of. I mean, when you make decisions out of a scarcity mindset, those are very limited decisions. You're going to get some very limited results.
And I can relate to this too. I mean, a lot of the conversations I have is people reaching out to me or having conversations about how they can take their 401ks and diversify it into real assets. How can they take and set up a self-directed and how can they invest in our deals with their 401ks because they're worried about it. I mean, hell, when was it? I guess it was COVID or whatever, about a year ago or something like that. Is that when the stock market took a big dip?
That's when it happened, March of 2020.
Yeah. I mean, it's finally back up to those numbers, I think, but still, I've talked to people that literally lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're just now getting back to where they're at, where they were, before that happened. And they're like, hell, we're not going to go through it again. We want to put it into real assets that we know is not going to drop off in a week. lose half.
To think about that's a buying nature, or excuse me, that's a change in a buyer's nature. I mean, a seller's nature. I mean, just the fact of that statement, and to tie it on together to finish off the page, it's no surprise that 9 out of 10 of business leaders are fearful about the impact of COVID-19 on their organizations. We literally just talked about that, Will. Yep. Indeed, more than half, 51%, are concerned that we will enter a deep recession from which recovery will be long and slow. Okay, that right there is a big worry, because if you're thinking that your economy is, because the United States, I believe, for the past 12 years has been going up. I mean, we've been good. And now we're going to be going into recession from what they're saying. Now back to it. Consumers are similarly pessimistic or pessimistic. There you go, Will. Back to what you were thinking. Pessimistic right there. Over 3/4, 87%, are suffering from various degrees of financial anxiety, with more than a third, 41%, saying their financial stress is keeping them awake at night. Now, here are some stats. Among business leaders, 186% increase in anxiety and stress as a result of COVID-19. 116% are increase in sadness as a result of COVID-19. I mean, think about it. When the government shuts you down and your customers are no longer going, your money ran out, you're freaking out over what's going to happen. I mean, I can see where these numbers are piling up from. And then here is the consumer side. So among consumers, 100% increase in anxiety and stress as a result of COVID-19, and 70% increase in sadness as a result of COVID-19. Now, this is the page that we're going to finish off on. For you guys listening on a audio format, I believe you should take a really good look at this. Either go on to the video or go on to page 8 of the Money and Machines 2021 Global Study by Oracle. 90% of business leaders are worried about the impact of COVID-19 in the organization in these 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, 51% believe in the slow economic recovery, deep recession. Number 2, losing key resources and tools due to budget cuts. 38% of business leaders believe that. And then number 3, organization going bankrupt. 27% of businesses feel that way. Imagine, I mean, more than a quarter of businesses feeling that they're going to go bankrupt. Wow. Now, on the consumer side, this is the 3 scenarios that are making them anxious. 87% of consumers are experiencing this financial fears as a result of the pandemic. 39% are fearful of losing their job. We've seen that. 38% are scared of losing their savings. And from a point of a perspective, what's the number? 77 to 80% of Americans do not have more than $1,000 saved up. I mean, that is pretty bad already. And now 38% of them are scared of losing everything entirely.
Yep.
So imagine getting that, adding insult to injury. And finally, the third scenario is that they're never going to get out of debt. 26%. Will, you just talked about, hey, the stimulus checks and the economic relief package, it's great when you look at it from the front, but there's a toll that's going to be paid.
I'll tell you something real quick that comes to my mind when they compare these just like this, when you have business on top and consumer on bottom. The problem with this is that both of them are going through hardship, and typically, if the businesses are going through hardship and they're needing revenue, they're needing to increase sales because of hardship or whatever, and then you've got consumers down here, for example, like on the debt play. They're going through hardship, so they can't pay their debt. I mean, this is literally like a stalemate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know for a fact, like I have credit cards and everything else or whatever. And one of them in particular, I called and was like, hey, can we work on something here or whatever for a payment? And they were like, yeah, we'll give you 1 month, 1 month with, skipping a payment or whatever. And I was just curious what they were doing for people, but that was it. That was their COVID relief. And of course,
COVID relief. We'll push it off for a month.
Was one skip month, because I don't know, I'm weird like that, so I just like to see what these credit agencies or credit cards are doing, because they charge, I mean, almost like felony interest rates and stuff. And anyway, I just don't see how those 2 statistics there, that, I mean, it paints an ugly picture. It really does.
And you know what? At the end of the day, what that really says to me, hearing you talk about that, is that we're gonna face some problems, some real problems that
ripples are coming. Yeah,
some real problems that are coming, and with that also opportunity. Do not fear. Do not fear. Do not fear the incoming problems that are incoming in your life, because that's all life is pushing through any barriers and obstacles that come our way.
Opportunity lies in chaos, is the way I like to say it.
Opportunity lies in chaos. We ended on page 8. There's going to be a separate video. I'll make a separate video going through the whole report, outlining it, because it's incredibly interesting. We only went through a fraction. And with that being said, right now we are seeing a huge shift. Before, we never had to worry about government regulations. I mean, to the extent of what they are now. Back then, we never had to worry about the government saying, no, nobody can walk in. No, nobody can use your business. Or worse, no, your business is not essential, so close your doors. How about that?
Yeah, that's
How
a big
about
one.
that? That's a fun one. And with that being said and done, the pivot and the alignment change that people have been doing is phenomenal and is very impressive. And also giving it to the Fortune 500 companies. Oracle, when I was doing the research, and we'll finish off with this one, Oracle was actually saying their payment processes and their services had to change because of the environment, because of change. The change in the way that people were losing their jobs, losing their money. Big companies were losing contracts. They were pushing off the money. They were literally cutting off services. They had to change the way that they were making their payment processes. They had to change the way that their services were being provided to them. I just thought that was really interesting, because in your business right now, and whatever industry that you are in, like Will was saying, health tech, bio, STEM field, any of those different kinds of industries, your organization will have to change, and eventually something will come that will have to change a process or a system or a culture or a thought process, and you're going to have to adapt, and you're going to have to evolve to the occasion. You're going to have to rise to the occasion. And with that being said, that was my final word. Will, what do you have for the people listening in right now?
I think we kind of covered it there. I just want to emphasize on you know, opportunity lies in chaos. I mean, I've opened up a couple new businesses in 2020 and 2021, just out of all those opportunities. You know, don't be afraid to act upon them. Some of the best money I've ever made was during 08 and 09 and thereafter and shortly after. So, you know, don't fall into the scarcity mindset. You know, be a problem solver, not a problem maker.
I like that one. Be a problem solver, not a problem maker. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to the PPP show. This is Diego Rodriguez and your amazing host, Will Morris. We are so happy to have you guys on. Tune in for the next time, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.